versus Reanimator. I believe they have one loss each, so this is an elimination match for them. So Food Chain combo, if you're unfamiliar, and it's not a common deck in Legacy. It plays a lot of Acceleration, Noble Hierarchs, Llanowar Elves, Coiling Oracles. It plays Fierce Empaths. It plays Mulldrifters, Vengevines, Wirewood Symbiotes, Elvish Visionaries, just a lot of subtle value cards with comes into play abilities. Then it plays Food Chain to sort of chain them all together. Basically, its game plan revolves around literally chaining up, culminating with Emrakul or Kozilek. Pretty cool.
Yeah, pretty exciting.
Yeah. For example, some of the lines of play it has Fierce Empath up an Aether Snipe. Aether Snipe with basically the Aether Snipe will use the evoke ability, bounce the Fierce Empath with the trigger on the stack, sack to Food Chain, get 7 mana, replay Fierce Empath, and you can see how it can ramp up pretty quickly.
And get really crazy really fast.
Yeah. One card I'm really surprised to not see in here that I thought it was a mainstay was Deranged Hermit. Because that guy nets you a ton of mana.
Yeah, you would expect to see him.
Yeah,
And I mean, squirrels are awesome.
Well, that goes without saying. Squirrels are really awesome. The deck he's playing against, pretty standard Reanimator deck, focusing on Jin Gitaxias. That's the fatty of choice for Rich Williams. Also has Angel of Despair, Iona, Sphinx of Steelwind, Imperial Archangel, all the usual suspects.
All the normal things you'd expect to see in a Reanimator deck.
No Elishnorn, which is pretty important.
Yeah, I'm surprised he doesn't play an Elishnorn. It seems like that would be, at least a one-of in these decks.
Right. He does have in the sideboard. Same with Blazing Archon, but not main deck.
I'd like it better than, like, Angel, even.
Yeah, me too. But the choice of fatties is always an interesting one. It's always more of just trying to predict what you're going to play against than anything, but it seems like Elishnorn just cold so many decks. But we'll see how it plays out for Rich Williams. Jin Gitaxias would probably be enough against this deck with no removal, save Aether Snipe. Which I guess does count.
Alright, so Rich is X-0-1, a draw with Reanimator.
Wow.
And Chrisopher Pieara, X-1 with his Food Chain combo.
Okay. So it's an elimination match for Chris, not for Rich.
No, Rich can 2-0 after this and still top 8 this tournament.
Yep, sure can. But Chrisopher Pieara is back against the wall. Actually, I think we have Christopher's...
Both players going to 6 cards here.
Christopher's name misspelled. It should be Pieara. P-I-E-D-R-A. Sorry about that, Chris. Who do you think's favored in this matchup?
Reanimator? I mean, he just puts a Jin Gitaxias in play on, like, turn 2.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure the Reanimator deck is just about an entire turn faster than Chris's Food Chain deck.
And not only is it an entire turn faster, it's just that what it does when it combos just kind of locks out Chris from being able to combo.
Right. That's definitely true. And also...
And he also has like Forces and Brainstorms to protect his combo. And he has Thoughtseize to disrupt Christopher's combo.
Yeah, this doesn't seem particularly close, does it?
It doesn't seem close at all.
No. Food Chain has no real way to find the enchantment, save Drift of Phantasms, which is a one-of, and that's
like
so slow.
Mulldrifters to find it, or
right.
Can use Visionary with Wirewood Symbiote to find it over time, but...
Yeah, the advantage of the Food Chain deck isn't its combo matchup, it's its blue deck matchup, because a deck like Reanimator, it's probably just going to get surgicaled out by a lot of the decks, but a deck like Food Chain, it's pretty hard to hate out.
Yeah, a deck like Food Chain, I mean, his deck is slower, it doesn't have as much disruption, doesn't have as much protection, but hate cards in particular don't really hurt Food Chain.
No, not at all.
Nobody's playing hate for Food Chain combo.
No. Rich Williams on Reanimator leads with Just an Island. Chrisopher Pieara has a Heath and would love to accelerate into a 1-drop. We'll see if he has it. No. Wow.
And no 1-drop seems rough for him. And Rich Williams opting for the turn 1 Brainstorm.
Now, the only way I like turn 1 Brainstorm here is if that's an Underground Sea and he's casting in 2 mana.
Please report to the draft challenge.
It is not an Underground Sea, however.
Nope.
Alexander Klein.
It's about as far from. It's an M10 land or
Please
M11
report
land.
to the draft challenge.
Yeah, actually somewhat surprising that he would just Brainstorm here.
Yeah, not sure I like it.
I don't like it. Thinking about the 2 cards he's going to put back, you're going to have to draw one of them, even though you don't like both of them.
So really, Brainstorm was like draw 2, put back 1.
And let's see. Rich Williams going to go with a Careful Study. Only going to get to see one new card with that because he brainstormed on turn 1.
Yep.
Perhaps a little bit of wrong ordering there for him. Even if he did not have the Careful Study in hand, his opening hand, he probably would have wanted to untap and then...
Definitely.
You know.
But regardless, he gets to discard a Jin Gitaxias and a Sphinx of Steelwind, so no shortage of fatties. We'll see if he has the Reanimate.
And if he does, that's just...
Yeah, if he does, it's
gotta
game
be it.
over. Ponder.
No, Ponder. Yeah.
Yeah, they sure looked like a Reanimate the way he slammed
it was pretty emphatic.
So we'll see what he finds. Force of Will,
Does he
blue
want that
card,
Force of Will?
and land.
I think you shuffle this away. There are
Probably.
some cards that matter, some cards that don't in your deck right now.
Yep, and Force of Will is not one of them. Good card, but he just wants to find an Exhume or a Reanimate right now.
Yeah. I actually don't like Force of Will that much. It's the card I most sideboard out.
Yeah, it's really not that good in this deck. It's sort of a necessary evil. Sometimes you just have extra cards, but a lot of times you can't even afford to cast it. Yeah, I'll be interested to see what hand Chris kept without a 1-drop. His best turn 2 play looks like Coiling Oracle or Elvish Visionary. Never thought I'd see Coiling Oracle played in Legacy. Not since Allurin fell out of favor.
And Allurin, I mean, just not that great of a combo deck.
No.
With the other options that you do.
That's definitely true. I played it at a Grand Prix Columbus a few years back, and it was a lot of fun. It was a really fun deck, but it wasn't that good, unfortunately.
A Tropical Island for Chrisopher Pieara. And
Counters the turn 1 Brainstorm with a turn 1 Brainstorm.
it's a turn 1 Brainstorm of his own. Rich Williams going to daze this turn 1 Brainstorm. Returning Underground Save instead of returning his island.
Maybe trying to play around a Wasteland.
Yeah.
So Chris Pieara does not get to Brainstorm. Instead, he just has a fetch land. And we'll see if he can play a Coiling Oracle or an Elvish Visionary here.
Yeah, for those of you trying to learn the Legacy format, might be just getting into it, planning on attending the Grand Prix next weekend. There's a really good article written about Brainstorm by AJ Soccer. You can look up on StarCityGames.com. Recommend Googling it. And I strongly recommend reading that because brainstorming on turn 1, not the greatest thing in the world.
Nope, it's called Pondering Brainstorm. Ha ha ha. So Rich Williams plays a land, then plays Careful Study.
Yeah, and it looks like he's Careful Studying away a good portion of his hand.
Yep.
All right, and he discards a Careful Study and an island. Now, discarding that Careful Study is a pretty big tell that he has a Reanimate spell. Yeah, and it's a Reanimate. That's going to return a Jin Gitaxias to play.
And that's not good for Chris Pieara.
He
not
can't really
sure.
interact with that very well.
Not sure what he can do with that at all.
Didn't have a 2-drop either. Very surprising.
No, I guess he was counting on that.
Hand you keep.
Guess he was counting on that Brainstorm to find him a 2-drop. Brainstorm finding Coiling Oracle, putting a land on top would be pretty nice. A little acceleration.
Yeah, I mean it's like a rampant growth where you actually get a bonus 1/1 out of it.
Yeah, pretty cool.
And the
So
land comes into play untapped.
yeah,
So
exactly.
you can make other powerful plays, like you can make a Wirewood Symbiote, which could return the Coiling Oracle to your hand.
A combo which Christopher Pieara has in his deck. I'm sure he uses that a lot.
All right, Rich Williams draws 7 cards off Jin Gitaxias. A very emphatic 7 cards, almost invading his opponent's play space with the 7 cards he's drawing.
You'll have to discard 2, but Reanimator decks don't mind that too much. And I think he found a Force of Will, so there's going to be almost nothing Chris Pieara can do here.
Yeah, it's pretty rough. Like, Chris Pieara is going to have to discard his hand on his end step here.
Right. And if I'm Chris, I just scoop instead of discard my hand. Don't let my
Definitely,
opponent
I don't
know.
want my opponent to see that I'm a food chain combo deck.
Right. There's just no way that Rich would ever guess that on his own.
And
So-
there's no way you're going to beat somebody once you've discarded your hand by drawing 7 cards a turn.
Right. I mean, what's he going to draw? Elvish Visionary? No, that's not going to do it. Drift of Phantasms? Nope. That can trump block for a turn, I guess. So Chris Pieara in the tank trying to figure out what he can do.
I think packing in's the right play here.
Oh, it definitely is.
All right. Plays fetch land, sacrifices it, Verdant Catacombs.
Yep. The only way that he's not dead is if he resolves the food chain here, and then the top of his deck is very kind to him.
Has to be extremely kind.
Yeah, it would have to be like Elvish Visionary into Muldrifter into etc. etc. And hope that your opponent doesn't have a Force of Will in the top, like 28 cards of his deck or something.
Plays a Noble Hierarch. And at this point, Rich could still think he's on
Bant.
like a Bant style deck,
Yeah.
something like that. Although it is unusual that he play these things. But
do you think Rich Williams will Force of Will that Noble Hierarch? We've seen it before today.
He discards,
Jeez.
revealing to Rich Williams that he is a food chain combo deck.
Yeah, not the right move there.
Definitely not.
The value of Rich miss sideboarding is way more than the less than 1% chance Chris has to win this game.
Significantly less than 1%.
Yeah, definitely.
Like, how many times have you drawn a Royal Flush?
2
Or have
head
you
giant
been dealt
players.
a Royal Flush?
Pairings have been posted.
Not many.
0 for me. And, you know, tens of thousands of hands. Hundreds, maybe.
Well, Chris Pedra seems like he knows he's in a lot of trouble. That face doesn't look too happy.
No, not at all.
And Ritual Ponder, not sure what he needs right now.
Not really sure at all.
Not sure what he's looking for. Maybe he just didn't draw a reanimation spell in the top 7 cards. It's possible.
Yeah, and I mean, even if you're just pondering here is fine. You're just looking for more Force of Wills. You might as well.
Right. There's no reason not to. And interestingly, if Rich Williams exhumes, Chris can get a Muldrifter, maybe getting him a little closer to combo.
What is that other blue card in his graveyard there?
I can't tell what that is.
Is there alternate art for Aether Snipe that I don't know about?
Oh, you mean the card on top?
Yeah.
That's a green card, actually. That's Fierce Empath.
Oh, that's green?
Yeah, it has that new border because of something, Elves vs. Goblins or something versus something. Not sure what. But. Yeah, it does sort of look blue right now.
And green cards apart sometimes.
Yeah, when they have the new borders.
I'm also colorblind.
Oh,
so.
yeah, there that is. That'll do it.
Normally I can tell. All right, Rich, going to discard phase.
Yeah,
he has multiple Force of Wills in hand.
Yep.
And Dazes.
Yeah, there's no way.
Really no way that Chrisopher is going to find his way into this game.
Right. And Rich discarding Reanimates should signify that Chris is not going to win this one.
Not long for this world.
No.
But, you know, Chris didn't really take a good look at the... So, yeah, Christopher's going to pack it in. Stayed in the game just long enough to let Rich know what he was playing.
Yep. So, looking at the sideboard, Christopher Piedra has definitely has some hate for Reanimator. He has
very
macabre. One of the best hate spells cannot be Force of Willed.
Mm-hmm.
And also his instant speed, which is really important.
Yeah.
He has
really, really strong card against Reanimator. A card that I feel is one of the underused graveyard hate cards. It's not as good against Dredge as a lot of other cards are, but you know, in a matchup like this, definitely
way better.
Something that's way better.
Because it's also instant speed, so they don't see it coming. Doesn't cost any mana, so you can be completely tapped out. Can't be dazed. Can be thought seized. That's the only thing, but so can anything. So he also has Phyrexian Revokers. Those probably won't come in here.
No.
Lawan, the Cephalid Empress.
Not coming in here.
No. Bounces. I guess it bounces Jin Gataxias, but by that time the damage is done.
Yeah, he already drew 7 cards.
Right.
Not too good. It's pretty hard to resolve that when you've got you know, Force of Will action.
Yep. One Star of Temptation. We should see that one.
Definitely coming in.
It's nice to steal Jin.
I would be very happy to have a Star of Temptation in my sideboard.
Definitely.
Especially with all this mana acceleration that he has access to.
Yep.
I would also mulligan aggressively to a hand that had a 1-drop, or at the very least a 2-drop here.
Yep, I agree. Can't keep a hand that has no play till turn 3. But none of the other sideboard cards for Chris are really going to...
especially on the draw.
Yeah, especially on the draw.
Sean Copeland.
Here he's on the play, though, so...
Yep.
Please report to the event
He will be.
stage.
And in terms of cards for Rich Williams, there really aren't too many. He has Leyline of the Void in his sideboard, but that doesn't do anything. That particular hate card is useless against Chris. So Rich's deck already pretty well set up to beat Chris's.
Yeah, I think Rich will probably side an Elish Norn.
Yep, for sure. That'll be the fatty of choice for him, that and Iona.
I feel like Elish Norn is the fatty of choice against a lot of different decks.
Yeah, me too. If it's good enough for Standard, it's good enough for Legacy, right? Hey. Turn 3 Elish Norn is no joke.
Turn 3 Elish Norn is not a joke in any format.
Jace bounce. Oops. Oops. Jace the Mind Sculptor would actually be an interesting card in Chris's deck. Just as a nice extra angle of attack. I'm not sure he needs all these creatures. His deck here has 18 land in it, 8 non-creatures, and the rest is just creatures. So 34 creatures in his deck.
It's a lot.
Yeah, it's not many land either.
Yeah, he's a little light. Yeah, we've seen people throughout the weekend, players here in Florida, do not like land.
No.
They, the land here in Tampa is invaded by the sea. And,
and the merfolk are running rampant. That's why everyone has Lawan.
Everybody has Lawan. I haven't seen any merfolk.
No.
But I've seen a lot of Lawans.
No, I don't think merfolk's really a big part of the metagame.
No, definitely not. And, okay, we're going to cut to us real quick. Right, so there's actually I think...
A judge call right now?
A judge call happening right now, so...
Maybe trying to sort out a little inconsistency on the deck list. We'll find out for you. But regardless, we're going to cut back to that match when they start. Actually, before they start.
I mean, it'd be really cool to see the food chain combo go off.
Yeah, I would love to see that.
I would very much like to watch that happen.
He's going to cast an Emrakul on turn 3 sometimes in this deck. Actually hard cast Emrakul. The honest way, which is cool.
I've hard cast Emrakul on turn 3. It's really fun.
Yeah. The look on your opponent's face probably usually isn't too pleasant, isn't too happy.
Well, by then they're already completely dejected because I've like Glimpse of Nature and like done a whole bunch of other stuff.
Gone off completely. So out of all the decks we've seen today, what's been your favorite so far? What would you play in a tournament? Not counting blue-white. Take that out of there. We know that's the answer.
That is definitely the answer.
Dredge. We have Belcher. We have Food Chain. See, Maverick with blue. We have Ad Nauseam. We have Dredge. And we have this blue Grindstone deck. I think if I had to sleeve any of these decks up, I'd sleeve up Belcher. It's just
I'm gonna go with Ant. This
Really?
is a good Ant list. Yeah. I like playing decks like this. I like Storm decks.
Yeah.
I
like my combos to be a little more honest. Maybe just hiring on a Charbelcher on turn 1. Really fair.
The Storm deck doesn't look that interactive, but it is pretty interactive.
Yeah.
Oh, so Cody.
Well,
Thank
you for reminding us.
Reminding us that we've never talked about what card we would like to unban in Legacy.
Let's look up this ban list real quick. We'll give you guys a quick rundown, and maybe with the more realistic ones to unban.
Yeah. I can tell you in Modern, if I could unban a single card, it would be Glimpse of Nature.
Well, that's just because you love Glimpse of Nature.
I do love Glimpse of Nature.
Okay, so Legacy banned list. I'm just going to say the reasonable ones, not going to go over the unreasonable ones. Let's see, we have Channel. It's reasonable, you could maybe unban. I think it's a little too degenerate.
Yeah, I mean, it's only ever going to be used. And the problem is that cards like cards that are now uncounterable if X is over a certain number, things like that exist.
Right.
Pretty hard to do. I think you could unban Earthcraft.
Really? Earthcraft? It's a really powerful card. It only combos with Squirrel Nest on the surface, but even something like Wild Growth on a land can just produce a ton of mana. I think it'd be interesting for Legacy.
Yeah, I don't think it's too broken.
Right. And it's the kind of card that's easy to hate out, too, because you need creatures. And, yeah. I mean, enchanting any land with a Squirrel Nest, unless it's a basic land, is pretty risky.
Black Vice, I don't think that has any business being on the ban list.
Really?
It's a good card, but...
It's a good card. It's just so demoralizing when your opponent draws multiples and you have some slow blue deck. Although, I guess that's an incentive to not play Brainstorms in Legacy.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly why I like it. It punishes people for playing the best decks, and against like a deck like Maverick, it's pretty bad.
Right, that's true. It's really bad. Against any Noble Hierarch deck, it's pretty bad.
any green deck, any red deck, any sort of like white base deck,
Right.
it's a bad card. It's good against blue decks, and it's really good against blue decks, but okay with that. Hermit Druid?
Hermit Druid, I don't think will ever come off the ban list.
Yeah, it's... You know,
One
you
card
untap with
combo.
Hermit Druid,
One
you
card
win
combo.
automatically.
Yep.
It's just
on the
too
spot,
much.
no matter what. Cabal Therapy, just the presence of Cabal Therapy alone means you win on the spot, if nothing else. Let's see. Land Tax has been the one that a lot of people have talked about. A lot of people want to see Land Tax unbanned. And really, I mean, the constraints on deck construction are huge.
Really, really huge. And obviously, we're talking about a super powerful effect.
Right.
But it's hard to successfully use a land tax.
Yeah. Look at this deck. It plays one Taiga. It plays one land. You're never going to activate Land Grant. Look at Dredge. It can have 2 lands in play, max. 1 land in play, max. Land Tax, I think that would be fair.
I think it might. I mean, it would definitely show up in a lot of sideboards. It would actually make blue-white mirrors obnoxious.
Well, let's actually look at this blue-white deck. How many basics does it even play? It plays 4 basic lands.
Okay, well, I play 8 basic lands in my blue-white deck.
Right.
But I also really like basic lands. You know, earlier today we saw somebody who's playing a mono blue deck without a single basic island in it.
That
just blew my
wacky.
mind. Yeah.
Having 1 basic in your deck, or in the case of Land Tax, more than 1, is just so awesome.
Yeah.
What else do we have? Mental Misstep? What do you think? I don't think so.
I enjoyed having it, but
no, it was really bad for Legacy. I think
it was bad for the format.
I
think you'd been Mind Twist is too good.
What, with Dark Ritual? No.
Yeah, Mind Twist is just too good. This ban list is pretty good, to be honest.
There aren't that
I'm
many
actually
cards
pretty happy
that
with
don't
this.
belong on it.
You can take Oath off.
I think that might move Legacy into less fun direction.
Yeah, you're not really playing creature decks as much.
Right, and also, you already have something like Reanimator that's pretty good at getting a fatty into play quickly. Oath might just be too good at that. One card
You can take
combo.
Bargain off the man list.
Bargain, yeah, for sure. You can for sure take Bargain off.
I don't think Bargain needs to be on there anymore. Like Ad Nauseam is
way
Bargain
better
for less mana at instant speed.
Yeah, exactly.
Bargain has no business even being on there right now.
That's definitely true. Let's see what else we have. Tempest to free? That's got to have anti. That has too much text.
I don't even feel like reading Tempest to Free.
Yeah, really, this ban list is pretty good.
This ban list is really good.
Yeah, they've been slowly cutting cards off of it, and Windfall, probably that should probably stay on there.
It's just, we see these ritual decks, things like that. If your deck is entirely rituals, you can just ritual your whole hand away and then Windfall, and then draw a new hand, and then ritual your whole hand away and then Windfall.
It's pretty much punishing people for not playing Force of Will, which
you
never want to
play,
do
like,
ever.
Infernal Tutors and things like that.
Right. Yeah, I like this ban list. If I had to choose one, I would say Land Tax.
I think Land Tax and Bargain can come off. And besides that,
Bargain,
I really like this ban list.
Yeah, Earthcraft
Wizards.
might not be safe. Not sure about that one.
Yeah, Earthcraft, maybe there's something that we're missing altogether.
Right. I mean, it's just such a high abuse card. It costs 2. It's an enchantment. Hard to interact with, really. I don't know. I don't see any reason for it to come off, but the ban list's pretty good. I like it. If you guys have any suggestions on what you would unban, let us know. Let's see. People want to unban. Drew Levin wants to unban Earthcraft, Mind Twist, and Black Vice. Mind Twist is not a very fun card.
I don't think you unban Mind Twist. Imagine these Veteran Explorer decks if you give them Mind Twist. Yeah, great format. Like, oh, you didn't have a Force of Will? You have no hand on turn 2. That was fun.
Sorry, buddy.
Good job.
Yes, my Land Tax with my PT1 deck is still alive in Modern? No. Not Modern. Maybe
No.
Legacy someday.
Maybe.
Shahrazad? No. Get out of here, you troll. We don't need to unban Shahrazad. You just want to make everyone miserable. Put Shahrazad on Panoptic Mirrors. Go to town.
Shahrazad.
All right, I'm going to Shahrazad.
I like the sideboard Shahrazad plan for when you win game 1.
Dredge, sideboard, and Shahrazad. One of the best turn 1, or the best game 1 deck. Memory Jar unbanned? That's really risky.
That's super risky.
I don't.
Memory Jar unbanning is really asking for a lot of people to kill people on turn 1.
Right. Having that available in your Kuldotha Forge Master deck, which is like a pretty fair deck normally, Like, what's it really tutoring up? Some good
So
cards.
Drew is pointing out that with a Ritual Mind Twist, it's just a 3-mana him, and that's true. But we're not talking about that. Like,
right, X can be more than just 2.
Yeah, you don't have to do that. Like, you can, you wait till turn 3, then you Ritual and Mind Twist, and your opponent has no hand. Like, you just I don't identity crisis.
I don't think it's too good necessarily, but it's definitely unfun.
And in the Veteran Explorer deck, they can really produce a lot of mana very fast.
Yeah, that's
and
really
there are cards like Grim Monolith legal.
Ooh, turn 1 Grim Monolith, turn 2 Mind Twist you.
Yeah,
for
and like
6.
Ancient Tomb, things like that. Like, Mind Twist just has way too much of a.
Right.
I don't know.
I don't know. I completely agree.
I think a lot of people are right. Mind Twist is not that much further ahead of him, but
it's a lot less fun.
Well, it also gives the him decks redundancy on him, and like redundancy on him is a pretty unfun thing. Like when your opponent double hims you,
you don't
how
feel
good
in the
is
game.
your game?
Yeah. You have 2
Usually
lands
not
and like
very
1
good.
card in hand.
Yeah. Somebody said Time Twister's not that bad, and well, actually,
that's interesting. Actually,
that's actually not that bad.
Is
I
Wheel
know
of
it's the
Fortune
power
legal?
9, but no, Wheel of Fortune's definitely not legal. Wheel of Fortune's definitely better.
Right, but at the same, it's not that much better.
It's pretty insane.
Yeah, you might be right. So it seems like Rich received a game loss for misregistering his deck, what he did, and which it's really easy to do, especially when you shortcut for yourself. He wrote 4 Leyline.
Instead of writing 4 Leyline of, it's actually not of the Void, of Sanctity.
No, of Sanctity, and that's exactly it. He could have said when the judges came up to him, oh, it was of the Void, if he was playing against a graveyard deck, and I'm not saying he would do that, but he could do that. And that's why he had to get a game loss. Nice to come in a matchup where he's favored, though.
Yeah, a matchup where it's extremely difficult to lose. Now he's going to have to be on the play again.
Oh, well, I didn't even think about that.
And his opponent, pretty obnoxious to be able to play against Reanimator on the play twice in a row.
At least he only has to steal 1 win. I mean, Rich could easily just mulligan into Oblivion. Mull to 5, never really find anything. Chris goes off on turn 3.
And a lot of people, somebody's pointing out World Gorger Dragon come off. And World Gorger Dragon could come off, but first of all, it just wouldn't see play, so it doesn't matter.
Right.
Second of all, the World Gorger Dragon combo is super confusing.
Yes. Yes, it is. All my permanents go away, they all come back, they'll go away, but they're untapped now, so I'll make mana.
Yeah, if somebody doesn't play a ton of Magic, and you start World Gorger Dragoning them, and the judge call that will be involved, it's just really nobody knows what's going on. Yeah,
right. It's a cool card, and you're probably right that there are better 2-card combos available. I could see it being unbanned. It's not like there's no graveyard hate in Legacy. There's plenty of graveyard hate in Legacy.
Tons.
And yeah, I agree that any 3-mana draw 7 just helps the Burning Wish decks. I don't think we need to see Time Twister unbanned. Plus, if it ever did become like a tier 1 deck, how expensive would that card be? So expensive. And that's not what you want to do to a format. Drew Levin, people suggesting unbanning Twister, Jar, Bargain, or Demonic Consultation. I've never built a Storm deck. How is Bargain better than Ad Nauseam? That's what I'm curious about.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think Bargain is better than Ad Nauseam. Twister, I mean, Twisters are risky in a Storm deck. If you're playing against somebody who's got forces and things like that.
Right, but you don't want to make people have Force of Wills.
It encourages people to play forces more, which is bad.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously we can't have Jar. Jar makes every LED deck way too powerful.
Yeah, just way too good. Someone suggests Gush.
Demonic Consultation not good for the format.
No.
I think banning Mystical Tutor was actually pretty good for the format.
I think it was smart. A lot of people were up in arms about it. A lot of people hated it, but it was pretty above the curve in that format.
Yeah. Black Vice. I think you could unban that. I think it punishes people for playing Force of Will and Brainstorm decks.
Yeah, definitely. It's not bad. 1 card, 1 life allows you to play Force of Will. Ad Nauseam doesn't. I guess I see your logic, but 1 more mana is a ton more mana. Not being able to play end of turn is a pretty big deal too.
I see your logic that you could show and tell in the thing, but then you have to add a whole show and tell package to your Storm deck. That doesn't seem good.
Right.
And like if you're show and telling that into play, like couldn't you just show and tell into play like an Emrakul and win anyway? Like I don't like the argument that you can't have bargaining because you can show and tell it into play.
Right,
like,
you can show and tell anything into play.
No.
Unban Mind's Desire, do it, do it, do it. No.
No,
never, never,
unbanning
never.
Mind's Desire would be a disaster.
All right, so we're back to the game. Rich Williams leads off with his M11 Island. Chris counters with a fetch land, and that should signify a turn 1 play.
Yeah, you never know though.
Right. Could be a turn 1 Brainstorm.
Hopefully not. Now we're hoping to see for Chrisopher here. Or not, we're hoping, but Chrisopher is hoping to see a Noble Hierarch.
Or Llanowar Elf. Both would be fine. He has a full 7 1-drop accelerants.
And other 1-drops in his deck.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. 4 Symbiote, 1 Ranger. Interesting that he doesn't play more than 7 1-drops. It seems like that's so important for him.
It's super, super important to his deck being able to like function in a proper time frame.
Right. But he does have one. So threatening to go off as early as turn 2 here. Rich Williams untaps, draws, starts his turn with Careful Study. And would love to be able to reanimate something this turn. Jin. That's the easy discard. And reanimate. Uh-oh.
So he's got
That's
it.
not good for Chris. Oh, no second land.
A second land for Rich
No
here.
Black Source. And it's really unfortunate that he drew that island too, because there are only 2 in the deck. Almost every other land produces both colors of mana.
Yeah.
So we'll see if Chris has the food chain here.
And that would be pretty good.
Yeah, that would start his combo really fast.
We're sitting here watching a food chain combo deck. What's next? A Pattern of Rebirth deck? What are we
Ooh, that was a fun deck 9 years ago. It's also really good.
It was. Somebody asked if that's overkill, so many 1-drops, but actually no. When you're playing a deck where a 1-mana accelerator is really important, you really want to be playing it. I mean, if you want to draw it a good portion of the time, you want to be playing 8 or 9. If it's so important to you, I'd play 13.
Hey, you can if you want to in this deck. He only has 18 lands. It's a pretty small number. Granted, Wirewood Symbiote and Quirion Ranger go really well with both the Gaia's Cradles in his deck and the Mana Elves. But still, I think he has to play at least 8 or 9 of these 1-drops. So Chris attacks for 1, bringing Rich to 19. Not what he wants to be using that elf for, but he'll take it. Says go.
And no turn 2 play, even with an elf.
Wow.
Again, I'm really confused about what kind of hand Chrisopher must have kept here.
Yeah, just about. He could play any spell in his deck except 3 Vengevine, Aether Snipe, and the Eldrazi. I don't really know. He could have Fairy Macabre in his hand, I suppose.
Maybe all 3 Fairy Macabres?
Maybe.
That would be pretty good.
Yep. See,
all the time in the world.
This is a point where this Brainstorm's really bad, because if he was planning on casting Brainstorm, he just should have cast it during his main phase. Try and find something like a 2-drop to play.
Yeah.
So if
and then sacrifice your fetch land anyway.
Right, exactly. So I don't like the timing on that Brainstorm too much. Rich's turn was Ponder. Ponder, Underground Sea, go. Denoting that he pretty much has an Exhume in his hand. You can pretty much just count on that.
Yeah, I'm surprised he, especially if he drew into the Ponder off of the Careful Study and didn't have a Black Source in hand, I'm surprised he discarded the Reanimate there.
Yeah.
He would have been able to reanimate that Jin-Gitaxias this last turn already. And,
right.
Game probably would have already been over in his favor.
He might be a little confused about what Chris's deck is trying to do. Maybe he didn't want the life loss from the Reanimate, but with only a Llanowar Elf in play, pretty safe to assume that that life shouldn't matter.
Yeah, the blue-green deck isn't the type of deck that I think is going to 10 you all in one turn and not be able to 20 you all in one turn.
Right. The Food Chain deck has no copies of Spellstarter Sprite.
Well, you're right. That would be pretty cool.
Yeah, it would.
And
there it is. And Rich is going to have to read that one.
We should actually get an Oracle text on Food Chain.
We should.
I've not read a Food Chain in a while, so.
Food Chain, Oracle text, enchantment. Exile a creature you control, : add X mana of any one color to your mana pool, where X is the exiled creature's mana cost +1, but you can only use that mana to cast creatures. So basically, the casting cost +1 is what you get, and that will be Force of Will. Sort of the weakness of the Food Chain deck, no disruption, and...
Yeah, I'm surprised he has absolutely no disruption.
Yeah, I think you could put some Force of Wills, at least in the sideboard of this deck.
Maybe Daze.
Maybe Daze,
you don't really play that many blue cards.
Right, not quite enough blue cards.
Spell Pierce, even.
Yep. Spell Pierce would be good.
Spell Pierce would actually be really good. I think that's the best one.
Yeah. So, Rich Williams exhumes his Jin Gitaxias. In response, Fairy Macabre. Got ya. Remove Jin Gitaxias and reanimate.
Seems reasonable.
Yep. And now the Fairy Macabre comes into play. Cute.
Yep.
Will be sacrificed for 4 mana if he gets a Food Chain. Chris gets a Food Chain. So Wirewood Symbiote in Chris's hand.
And he's going to transmute a Drift of Phantasms.
Rich is going to give that one a read. That one's that's an old draft common. Hasn't been used in a combo deck for a while.
So Rich, not kind of giving a tell that he has a Force of Will or a Daze in his hand there.
Right.
Wants to counter the transmute on Drift of Phantasms. It's an activated ability. It cannot be. And no, Food Chain does not have Draining Welk either, but Draining Welk would also be really sweet.
Be very cool. Oh, he gets a fairy.
That's completely reasonable.
Huh. Interesting, because Rich has no targets in his graveyard right now.
Still, I feel like you kind of getting that Fairy Macabre. Like if you get a Food Chain, you can just get countered again.
Right.
He also get a Fairy Macabre. You're beating down. You're winning right now.
Yeah. He also has 3 points of damage every attack phase. No, or just 2.
Well, I think he's playing a Symbiote post combat here.
Okay. Good.
Very reasonable.
Yep. So adds to the clock a little bit. Rich giving that one a read too. That's the beautiful thing about Legacy. There's just so many different decks, so many different old cards that can just be pulled out, like Drift of Phantasms. Did you think you'd see Drift of Phantasms on camera today?
I did not think I'd see Drift of Phantasms on camera today. I do like Drift of Phantasms quite a lot, though.
Yeah.
I've played it many times. I've searched for Invoke the Firemind with Drift of Phantasms.
Nice. That's my most drafted Ravnica common.
Really?
I know that only because Moto sorts it by common. And that's the card I have the most of on Moto.
Drawn on minus? Pretty obvious.
Glimpse of Nature?
No, Ravnica Common?
oh, Ravnica Common? No, I don't know.
Tamir Aqueduct.
Oh, it's a good one. So Rich Williams, Force of Willing the Fauna Shaman. He had nothing on his turn. But Chris just has another Fauna Shaman. Chris runs it right into Daze because he knows if Rich had a Daze, he would have removed that to Force of Will. Good pickup by Chris. So at the end of Chris's turn, Rich is entombing. He'll get his 3rd and final Jin Gitaxias, putting it at the bottom of his graveyard. Hope his opponent doesn't play Phyrexian Furnace.
Thinking a bit. Perhaps that's not what he wants. Perhaps he wants to get an Iona.
Yeah, that one's pretty good against a virtually mono-green deck.
And you know which one's the best? In Elishnorn.
Ooh, Elishnorn would sure be good here.
Yeah, hopefully he sideboarded that one in.
Decides on Jin Gitaxias.
Decides on Jin Gitaxias.
You know, it's going to be pretty tough for him to win the game, though, because I think he might lose the race once he starts attacking with Jin Gitaxias. And he can't really cast a Reanimate on it because that would deal him 10, bring him to 2.
Kill him.
Yeah, the counter swing just kills him. So he's actually in a pretty tough spot, facing down 6 power, motley crew of creatures.
Yeah, and you know, if he was able to get an Elishnorn in play, that would kind of solve that issue. But
sure would. Not sure why it's in the sideboard if not for a matchup like this, a 34 creature deck. So he'll just say go, Chris untaps.
Yeah, Drew a little bit confused there. Drew didn't understand why the Macabre was in play, but the Macabre was discarded in response to the Exhume, and the Exhume resolved.
Right.
So
Rich had no legal creatures to return. Chris did. And now all the creatures will come in. They'll deal Rich 6, halving his life total, bring him to 6.
Yeah, and this is an unusual little gang we have here.
Yeah. Chris Pedra might pull off the impossible here with a game loss and his sideboard cards. Drift of
Beating a matchup
Phantasms.
that's almost impossible for him
Yeah.
to beat. And a careful study.
Yep. See what Rich can draw into here. Discarding Force of Will and Sphinx. Sphinx is a pretty good one.
Yeah, I mean, Sphinx can do some work.
Yeah.
To be honest, I'm quite surprised that Sphinx was not picked up over a Jin Gataxias with the Exhume.
Yeah, just about any creature at this point seems better than Jin. He's just too small of a body, doesn't have any impact on combat or his life total.
Yeah. And I mean, Jin Gataxias, probably the best reanimation target Rich can muster if he's going to reanimate in one of the extremely early turns of the game, but once your opponent has established board state, Fairy Macabre going to remove the
Sphinx
two
and Jin,
targets.
and there's the hand. Congratulations,
Rich.
Chris. Took down a tough matchup in Reanimator.
Extremely difficult matchup.
Huh.
Rich still in contention to topping this tournament, now X1 and 1.
Yep, both of these players are. Chris Pedra moves to X and 1.
Yeah.
So we could see both these players in the top 8 if they can, if Rich can 2-0. Chris might only need to 1-0.
Yeah, Chris only needs to win one more match, and then he can draw into top 8 with this food chain combo deck.
Which is awesome.
So we have one match away from a food chain combo deck in the top 8 of this tournament right now.
Really cool.
Very cool. And, Chris, his mulligan decisions there, maybe not the best, but as far as play went, much tighter than we've been seeing today. So.
Yeah, I think I might have lost that game. I might have drifted Phantasms for Food Chain instead of that Fairy. I didn't know what he had in hand, but that seemed like the obvious get. But Fairy Macabre took it home. Pretty cool.